Welcome to the OLV Daily Reflection for Tuesday, March 23rd. Today, the Universal Church celebrates the feast day of Saint Torubino. He was born in 1538 to a noble family in Spain. Saint Torubino was a faith-filled child who, as he grew, became interested in the study of law and eventually had the opportunity to go to college to study in this subject. And through a combination of his intelligence and reputation as an honest, faith-filled, and just person, he would eventually be appointed as the chief judge of the Inquisition at Granada in Spain. And as Saint Torubino's reputation grew, King Philip II thought that he might be the right person to become the Archbishop of Lima in Peru. There was one significant problem, though. Saint Torubino was not an ordained priest, which was a requirement for someone to become an archbishop. And also, he did not want to be ordained a priest. So Saint Torubino initially protested King Philip's idea to make him an archbishop. But Pope Gregory VIII eventually intervened, and with a few months, Saint Torubino was ordained a priest in 1578 before being consecrated the Archbishop of Lima in 1579. King Philip, for his credit, picked the right person for the job, because Archbishop Torubino helped the relatively new diocese through many challenges. He learned the language of the indigenous people, he worked to address the poverty that they experienced, and he worked to reform many of the negative aspects of the church in this newly formed colony. And furthermore, it was thought that he confirmed close to 500,000 people as archbishop. And because at that time there was no good way to get across mission territory, it's thought that he walked the length of his diocese at least 3 different times. Furthermore, it is said that many future saints of the church were inspired by Saint Torubino's dedication to Jesus Christ and to the people of his archdiocese. So the gospel reading for today's Mass in honor of this saint comes from the 9th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel. It reads, Jesus went around to all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, and curing every disease and illness. At the sight of the crowds, his heart was moved with pity for them, because they were troubled and abandoned, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, The harvest is abundant, but the laborers are few. So ask the master of the harvest to send out laborers for his harvest. As Jesus said in today's gospel passage, you and I have to ask God to send laborers out for his harvest. But in addition to our prayers, we also have to make sure that we're asking people who we believe are called to ministry to at least consider that vocation. And the reason that we have to do both of these realities for some people is that they don't recognize that God may be calling them to serve. And this is the story of Saint Torubino. Now, to be completely truthful, his vocation story is one that cannot be repeated in this contemporary age. Because bishops and archbishops are now chosen by the Pope, not by leaders of countries. And furthermore, a person, unless they get a special dispensation from the Pope, can't be ordained a priest in a matter of months instead of a number of years. But it's clear that King Philip, Pope Gregory VIII, saw that Saint Torubino's life was one that contained all the necessary realities to make him a great archbishop. And for his part, he did respond, even though it was reluctantly at first. So in order to have more ministers for the church, again, we have to pray, but also we have to ask. Because it is my belief that there are many people out there being called by God to serve in a special way in the church. But individuals can't hear this call in their lives for whatever reason. So our continued prayers for individuals to respond to God's grace in their lives, but also our personal invitations can help as well, because we may be the ones who help them to see that God has given you special gifts, God has given you special graces, and maybe He is calling you to a special vocation of service within the church. Saint Torubino and Our Lady of Victory, pray for us.